So what are the red flags in relationships that you should really pay attention to versus those things that you're like, this is no big deal. Maybe I should be more understanding and more compassionate. Sometimes that line is hard to identify. And so today we're going to talk about 7 red flags that you should never ignore because these will often lead to long-term relationship disintegration. And these red flags aren't exclusive to men or women, but these are red flags that can come up on either side in relationships. And the first red flag is your partner is quick to get defensive. They have a habit of just getting defensive. Nothing is ever their fault. It was always somebody else's fault. They're blaming traffic. They're blaming circumstances. They're blaming somebody else. And usually what comes with defensiveness is counterattack. Then they're going to attack you because you did something wrong or you didn't live up to your end. That is a destructive communication pattern. In fact, it's one of the 4 telltale signs that your relationship is headed for disintegration or divorce or breakup. The Gottman Institute did all this research, and defensiveness was one of the worst things that can be a pattern in a relationship. Now, everybody gets defensive at times. We all get triggered. We're all like, and you get defensive. But the healthy person can take a deep breath. They can own their part, or better yet, they can lean in and they can say, tell me more. Tell me what is your need that wasn't being met here? How can I do this differently next time? And there can be a healthy communication that comes out because every relationship has unmet expectations or broken agreements because none of us are perfect. Your ability to navigate those is the telltale sign that your relationship is on the road to success. So if your partner is quick to defend themselves, that's absolutely something you want to work on before committing to that relationship deeper. The second red flag that you want to watch out for is the rules don't apply to your partner. Now, this is a tricky one because this one is a whole lot of fun when you're on the same team, when you're on each other's side. Like your partner is a little bit of a rebel, a little bit of a rule breaker. Maybe you are. There's part of you that loves to break the rule, bend the rule, kind of skirt outside, like, cut the line and get there first, or, find ways to have the advantage and a little bit of the rule breaker. And that can all be very, very exciting. But here's the challenge. If you notice that your partner is a consistent rule breaker, in other words, the rules don't ever apply to them, that sometimes they'll operate within it when it's convenient, but if it's not, they're quick to skirt the rule, bend the rules, whatever it is. Notice this. That behavior is never sequestered to just one aspect of their life. It's a paradigm or a belief system that's applied to all aspects of their life. So when they've got an agreement with you in the relationship and it no longer is convenient or serves their interest, they're quicker to break that rule. So pay special attention to specifically the agreements that your partner has with other people. Because often the rule breaker is not okay if the other person doesn't live into the agreement, but it is okay if your partner doesn't live into the agreement because the rules don't really apply to them. That behavior is a red flag. Number 3 is if your partner tells white lies. Just like with being a rule breaker, a person's relationship with truth is never sequestered to one topic in their life. It is ubiquitous. And so trust is the bedrock of any relationship. Trust is what allows a relationship to go. It's the fuel. And so you, in a beautiful relationship, have to be able to trust what your partner says, trust how they're recounting a story, trust that they're going to follow through on their agreements. And if you notice that the person is telling these white lies when really they don't even need to, like they're sharing a story about how long it took you guys to come back on this road trip, and they're saying, oh my gosh, it took us like 9 hours, when really it took you 6 hours. They're just exaggerating. Or they tell their boss that there was an accident on the freeway, and that's why they were late, when really they just woke up late. In other words, the stakes are very low, and so they tell these white lies. That kind of a person doesn't have the communication skills or the maturity to deal with uncomfortable conversations. Or they have a need to boost up their own ego by exaggerating. That kind of an individual want to really look out for, because if the stakes are low and they manipulate the truth, then what are they going to do when the stakes are high, when it's really tough? That person has developed a relationship with truth that it's okay if it's in their interest to bend the truth. Then when the stakes are really high and truth really matters, you better believe they're going to bend it in that circumstance. The person who's the right fit, the person who's going to be the long-term partner for you, is going to have this impeccable relationship with truth. Your partner is going to be like, telling you exactly what happened. No white lies, just fully authentic. When it's hard to tell the truth, they're going to tell the truth. When it's not convenient, they're going to be straight up with you. And that creates this like beautiful foundation of trust that creates freedom and connection in the relationship. Number 4 is he's overly critical and even subtly critical. You want to really watch out for something called negs. And negs is from the pickup artist world, where in the psychology of building attraction and trying to become more important in somebody else's eyes, what some guys have found out is a technique that works with women who have lower self-esteem is they'll throw out a little criticism mixed with a compliment, and that'll kind of shake her self-esteem, and then she'll try to earn approval from him. And it's this psychological game that some guys try to play. So you want to spot it and be able to call it out. It's called negs, where they'll say, oh, your teeth, like, look, you have little rabbit teeth. They're kind of like buck teeth, but they're so cute and so adorable. It's kind of like this backhanded compliment. So if somebody is critical and then you get mad or you call them out for it and they're like, oh, I'm just joking, you shouldn't take it so seriously, but the overall vibe of the energy is low, you want to cast that person aside. That is a major red flag. Overall, you want to be asking yourself, when you leave a date, how do you feel? Do you feel positive? Do you feel loved? Do you feel expanded? Do you feel like you left that date better because you were hanging out with that person? Or do you feel constricted? Do you feel kind of this mixture of energies, like, well, it was excited and he's sexy, but I don't know how good I feel about myself? That is part of this critical energy environment that this person will create. One of my clients found herself in this situation where she would go on these dates. He was super sexy, like one of those guys that on paper had everything that she wanted, just he was constantly critical. And then he would guilt her for calling him out and say, oh, I'm just joking. You should have a better sense of humor. And he would make her wrong for feeling the way that she did. She eventually kicked that guy to the curb, said, no, this isn't for me, and ended up attracting another guy very quickly, a guy who respects her, a guy who they have a blast together, they laugh together, and none of that critical energy is part of the equation. And she's like, Matt, feels like a 1,000-pound boulder has just been lifted from my shoulders. I love this newfound energy. Number 5, and I love this one because it is so clear, he is a bad sport when doing something that you want to do. So in other words, when doing something he wants to do, like if you guys want to go to a game or you want to go out and about, go to a particular restaurant, go visit his family, you're positive, you bring the good energy, it's a fun time, and it's all good. But when it's something that you want to do and he's going to join you, he's got a bad attitude, whether it's you want to go shopping or you want to go fishing. One of my friends, she wanted to go fishing. And so her partner went along, and the whole time he had a bad attitude about the whole experience. And so in essence, he was punishing her because it wasn't something that he wanted to do. That's coming from a very self-centered and selfish position, and is absolutely the kind of person that isn't going to make a good partner long term. The partner who's going to be with you in a thriving relationship is going to put on a good attitude, even if it's not his first choice, even if it isn't the movie he wants to see or the particular thing he wants to do that day. There might be a game on he wants to watch, and it's a family barbecue, and he's going to go. He's going to bring his best to that moment. Why? Not because it's something he wants to do, because it's something that's important to you. And bringing a good experience to you matters to him because he loves you. Number 6 is he minimizes your wins. So you get a big promotion, you get a raise, you land a big client, you get a new job, something great happens, and you're sharing it with him, and he kind of celebrates you, but then he quickly changes the subject and talks about one of his challenges for that day. Like, he doesn't have the emotional capacity to hold that celebration with you because for some reason your wins actually in his mind reduce his importance. That guy's not going to be a great partner for you. The partner who's going to be amazing is the guy who's going to prop you up, who's going to celebrate you. The next time you're out, you shared a win, he's going to say, hey, you guys, check this out. And he's going to celebrate with you and bring attention to that win and have you retell the story and let you relive those moments and amplify the good. Great partners amplify the good in our lives where you feel like you are the most impressive person on the planet because of how they view you and how they help celebrate the wins, even the little wins. they will prop you up. And number 7, and this is a tricky